Hey guys, Mr. B here. In this video, we're going to be going through the practice problems for chapter 7.1 on ions. So let's begin here with number 1. It says, the blank number of a representative element indicates how many valence electrons that element has. So this is the group number. This is from the notes here. So this is the group number of a representative element. So again, just to remind you what a representative element is. On our periodic table, okay, and let's unzoom here a little bit. On our periodic table, we have a lot of elements, of course, but the representative elements are the ones with an A on them. So this is 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A, 7A, and 8A. Those are the representative elements, and the group number is the column number. Okay, so this is column 1. This is column 2. This is column 3, all the way up to column 8. All right? So that column number will tell you how many valence electrons an element has that's in that column. All right, number 2, true or false? The chemical properties of an element are largely determined by the number of valence electrons that element has. That is true. Okay, the valence electrons pretty much tell you all of the chemical properties that element will have, or the valence electrons are the reason why that element has certain chemical properties. So yes, that is true. Number 3, true or false? Sulfur and magnesium both have 2 valence electrons. All right, so let's actually go find sulfur and magnesium on the periodic table. So magnesium is here in column 2 of the periodic table, and sulfur is over here in column 6 of the periodic table. So no, they do not both have 2 valence electrons. Magnesium has 2, but sulfur has 6. So that is false. Okay, that is not true. All right. Number 4, true or false? Atoms acquire the stable electron structure of a noble gas by only losing electrons. So this is false, because remember that elements on the left side of the staircase, and just to remind ourselves, remember the staircase are basically these elements like here, okay? So like this is the staircase. Elements to the left of the staircase, which are the metals, these tend to gain electrons. I'm sorry, my bad, not gain. I apologize. I'm going to confuse you. These tend to lose electrons. Elements to the right of the staircase, okay, over here, these tend to gain electrons. So we can either lose electrons or gain electrons to become an ion. But atoms will acquire the stable electron structure of a noble gas by losing or gaining, okay, not only losing. So that is false. That is not true. Number 5, how many electrons will each element gain or lose in forming an ion? Okay, so we're going to need to find these elements on the periodic table and then determine what they're going to do. So first we have strontium. All right, so let's look at strontium on the periodic table. Strontium is here. It is in column 2, which means it has 2 valence electrons, and it is a metal, so therefore it is likely to lose electrons. So it's probably going to lose 2 valence electrons. Okay, so for letter A, lose 2, and we're just going to go E minus, okay, for electron. It's just shorthand for electron. All right, tellurium. Tellurium is right here. It is in column 6 of the periodic table, and so it has 6 valence electrons. These are, again, more likely to gain electrons, and it's trying to get up to 8. So it's trying to go from 6 to 8, which means it only needs to gain 2 electrons for that to happen. So this one is likely to gain 2 rather than lose 2. All right, then we have bromine. So bromine is here in column 7. It has 7 valence electrons. Again, it wants to get up to 8. And to do that, it would need to gain 1 electron. So therefore, this one is likely to gain 1 electron. All right, number 6. How many electrons are lost in forming each of the following ions? Okay, so to answer this one, we just need to take a look at the charge that's on it, and that will tell us. So Mg 2+. Okay, 2+ means that we have lost 2 electrons. Okay, remember, positive charge means you've lost electrons because electrons are negative. Okay, don't think of a positive sign as a plus sign, like I'm adding something, right? Like 1 plus 1, I'm adding them together. This is a positive charge, not a plus sign like addition. So you gotta think opposite, okay? So this is going to be losing 2 electrons. For letter B, we have Ag plus. So this is technically plus 1, okay? Even though the 1's not written, it is plus 1. So this is going to be losing 1 electron. And then for letter C, we have 3 plus, which means we're losing 3 electrons. Okay? All right. Number 7, write the name and symbol of the ion formed when. All right, so we're going to have to insert a text box here. Whatever, I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, a sulfur, okay, so write the name and symbol of the ion formed when a sulfur atom gains 2 electrons. Okay, so we are going to write the symbol and name of the ion. So what does that mean? Well, symbol is going to be the element symbol, like S. If it's an ion, it's going to have a charge on it, so it's going to have like, you know, plus 3 or minus 3 or something or whatever. And then the name would be like, you know, a sulfur ion or a sulfide ion or something. So first let's find sulfur. Actually, we don't need to because it says it's gaining electrons. But sulfur on the periodic table, the symbol for it is S. Okay, I wrote it already, but obviously I know it off the top of my head. You probably don't. Okay, so sulfur has a symbol of S right there. So here's our symbol is S. It is gaining 2 electrons. So if it's gaining electrons, that means that it's going to have a negative charge. Okay, remember electrons are negatively charged. So if you're gaining negative particles, you become negative. And since it's gaining 2 electrons, it's going to have a charge of 2 minus, okay, or negative 2. As for what we would name this, since this is a negative ion or an anion, we don't want to name it a sulfur ion because negative ions need to have that "ide" ending. So rather than calling it a sulfur ion, we need to call it a sulfide ion. Okay, so this is going to be called a sulfide ion. There we go. All right, letter B. An aluminum atom loses 3 electrons. So let's go find the symbol for aluminum. Okay, aluminum is right here, Al. So the symbol is Al. It's losing electrons. So if we're gaining electrons, we're negative. If we're losing electrons, we become positive. Okay? And it is losing 3 electrons. So it's going to become positive by a factor of 3. So Al 3 plus. Now as to what we name this one, since this is a positive ion, we don't need to have that "ide" ending. We would just name it the element, aluminum, and then tack that ion on afterwards. Okay, this would be called an aluminum ion. All right, last question here, number 8. Classify each of the following as a cation or an anion. So basically, we're just going to say cation or anion. That's it. Pretty simple. And again, as long as you remember that cats have pause, cations are positive, anions are negative. So Na plus, that's a positive ion. That is a cation. I minus, that's a negative ion. Therefore, that's an anion. N3 minus, that's a negative ion. That's an anion. And then Ca2 plus, that's positive. Therefore, that's a cation. Okay? And that's it. That's all they're asking us to do for that one. So, all right, guys, that is the last problem in the notes here. So hopefully, again, that helped clear up some confusion. But again, as always, if you have any other questions, make sure that you ask. All right, that's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.